How's it going, guys and girls? This is Mustard and Ketchup here, once again bringing you our predictions from Week 7 of the EU ESL and NA ESL MKX Pro League. Like I said before, we're on Week 7 for EU and it'll be Week 6 for NA. So we're really approaching the end now, so it's probably a bit more stressful for the EU players at this point, but we're both really excited for this week, purely for the fact that Mitson and Foxy are both in America right now. They took part in NEC in Philadelphia, so they actually won't be entering this week, so neither of them are in your top 8. So this is a really important week for the players who are kind of like, because your 3 guaranteed players right now in the EU Pro League to go to America are Foxy Grandpa, Mitson and Zarak.
Well, that's why they went to NEC, isn't it? So yeah. It's kind of, they had the safety net. They're already guaranteed, so they can now afford to fly around and go to other tournaments, have pot bonuses and all that stuff. But for this week, it's basically that the guys, everyone here that needed the points desperately to be one of the final 3 that will be going, has made top 8. So basically, when it comes to who is left in terms of how many points are left in the EU, only 3 more people can go. But between those, you've got, as far as I'm aware, it's Storm, Derpy Mosquito, Undead Jim, Taco, and Mitson. They're kind of like, they are the people that are around that are fighting out for those final spots. And as far as I'm aware, pretty much, yeah, everyone that needed those points is here. So whoever wins this week is almost going to guarantee themselves the 4th spot, basically.
Yeah.
So game 1, we have Zarak and Mitson. I will be honest, I think the way Mitson plays can be effective, especially when he's fought people for the first time. But Zarak is going to be familiar with this matchup, and he put on so much pressure. I don't really know how Mitson is going to handle being rushed down as heavily as we've seen Zarak do to other people.
I think Zarak, like, he's going to have to leave Mitson standing as much as possible, because the only time I can see Liu Kang not being able to just go ham against Scorpion is on Wake Up, when the teleport is such a good option for that to, just like immediate instant momentum shift, meterless and, meter burned if mistimed, just to get things back in his favour. But we can see that Zarak against characters with strong wake ups that he can't deal with, he opts to go for the meter burn throw to keep them standing, to keep his pressure going. And like we've seen a few times in this league, Mitson is a great player, but very unorthodox and very unsafe. Now, Zarak and Dragon's Fire Liu Kang particularly thrives on characters like that. So I think purely for the matchup alone and just how these 2 people playing, I mean, I do think Zarak is going to walk away with this.
I just think the way Zarak plays Mortal Kombat X counters the way Mitson plays Mortal Kombat X. I think it's as simple as that.
But Mitson needs this win.
He does.
It's similar to what we said last week. Like last week we said Perfect Legend.
We're going to say that about everyone, aren't we?
Yeah,
everyone needs it.
But that's why EU Week 7 is so interesting to us, is because every match is similar to what Perfect Legend had last week, right? Where he was low on the point scale, but needed that win to maybe make the finals and get through towards.
But then what happened? Perfect Legend won last week. Yeah. So exactly. Okay, so game 1, I think Zarak is going to take that just purely on play styles alone. Game 2, Taco and Mr Aquer. These guys have fought before. Taco has had a couple of that guy's called Big D. How about that? Sweet. But yeah, sorry. Taco has had a couple of really unfortunate run-ins with ESL so far, where he hasn't really been able to place as highly as he probably should have placed, I think.
A lot of top 16s, but very few top 8s.
Yeah, but we finally see him back. Mr Aquer and Taco, both very similar. Taco needs this win more in terms of like comfort zone wise, but the reality is Taco plays a really mean Grandmaster, and Aquer plays Sonya, and in most of Sonya's that we see, Mr Aquer especially seems to have real trouble dealing with Grandmaster Sub-Zero in the past.
It just seems to be a bit of an Achilles heel to, especially the cover op Sonyas, ones that favour the 50-50s and the 50-50s.
And the dive kicks.
Exactly, that really is it. It just seems to be that Grandmaster just putting up that brick wall of defence. I mean, unless you can get on him and keep going. I mean, especially now we see Grandmasters opt to use Meter Burn Clone a lot of the time. So that is obviously going to shut down even harder. And back before we used to see Meter Burn Clone used all the time, we would still see it be tough for those Sonya players. Maybe we'll see Demolitions used. I know Aquer plays all 3 variations, so I don't know who we're going to see.
Aquer was known for his cover ops back in the day, and a little bit of Demolition if you wanted.
Special Forces.
If you wanted, that's my one. Sorry, Special Forces if you wanted to shut down the full screen game of some characters. But he does seem to favour a lot of Demolition nowadays. So the question is, I don't even know what variation he's going to rock, but from what I've seen in the past, I think Taco will have the edge, because I see Taco's extremely defensive style of the clone getting around the Sonya because Aquer is very impatient, and he's always been a very impatient player. However, if he gets in once, who knows? He could win the game on it. So I think Taco's going to have the edge purely because I just think his ice clone game can potentially counter Sonya extremely well.
Yeah, no, I agree.
But yeah, so that's going to be that game right there.
Now, game 3 is a really exciting one for us personally. We have Undead Jim and Used for Glue. Undead Jim sitting at a higher amount of points right now in the league, but if Used for Glue can pull a win out this time, he's going to be right up there for big times in
Used for Glue took out Pro Stunner and Nivek this week. Undead Jim took out JTB, Nausea, and Hellbreaker. So Used for Glue, I'm not going to say it yet. He's been using a secret character, which not many people actually know he's been rocking. So he's been specifically calling it a secret character. I don't want to ruin the surprise for anybody. But basically, Used for Glue and Undead Jim could actually both still make it to LA. Because Undead Jim is more comfortable because he's made top 4 placings before. Used for Glue, this is his first top 8, but he's made many, many, many top 16s. Almost every week, Used for Glue has been in the top 16. So he has actually, in the background, earned some points. I have seen Used for Glue beat I have actually indeed seen Used for Glue beat every single player that is in this top 8.
No,
at least
I agree.
Online. Like I've actually, not consistently, obviously they go back and forth, but the important thing here is that I've seen Undead Jim and Used for Glue both beat everyone else online in King of the Hills, in casual sets, whatever. Both of these guys, I think, could take it all the way this week. Used for Glue basically needs to win this week to be in a good point situation for next week, and Undead Jim just needs to get past this to be more comfortable. So who's going to win this? Honestly, I don't know. Undead Jim is going to be more comfortable in the setting, and he's very relaxed. These guys aren't going to have a trouble connecting to each other because they've both got good connections. They're both from the UK. But if Used for Glue has some really unorthodox, crazy Melina tech, he could surprise Jim, but it's a 3 out of 5 setting. So who's going to win out of this setting? To be honest, very difficult to call because they're both so evenly matched. But Undead Jim, I think, could take this purely based on just having more ESL experience in the top 8. Personally,
I mean, I would agree. I mean, you said it was a secret character, and then you go and spill the beans instantly after by saying what character he's hiding the secret tech with. So basically, it's going to be Melina, right? Melina Jax, Ketchup spoiled it, rip, but we'll see it tomorrow.
Oh, it doesn't matter. We'll see it tomorrow. I don't care that I spoiled the surprise.
It's a very tidy Melina. It's a very well, I mean, the way he describes it is he plays like MK9, right? That's kind of how he takes the approach. But it works for him. He's got guaranteed anti-airs, guaranteed anti-cross-ups, 50-50, so it fits the game well. Big damage, some safety with what he does as well. Like he's not a very reckless player with her. But at the same time, Undead Jim plays Jax, very hard to crack into. Amazing hit confirms on wayward jumps and stuff like that. Not that we're going to see that from Used for Glue, but we could. This is probably going to be the hardest to call for me personally. But I would like to see Used for Glue take it, because obviously he needs the points. If he can beat Undead Jim here, he can win the week. But if Undead Jim wins, the exact same thing applies to him. So.
This is definitely the closest, the hardest to call this week. Absolutely. So, final game. Mr. Clean and Storm. Mr. Clean took out K-Top, so we're not going to see either Greek brother this week.
But unfortunately, like we said before, unfortunately, not making top 8 this week, if you're in that lower end of the top side of the league, kind of means you're not going to make it. And unfortunately, because of K-Top and Costas not making top 8 this week, that does kind of cement that they won't be making the finals.
Unless one of them maybe wins next week. But by then, Mads and Foxy will be enough.
But like you said at the start, everyone else in that top end bracket is here and has bagged themselves at least 25 points. So unfortunately, I don't think a win's going to do it for them. But, huge props to them for getting this far. I'd still like to see them entering next week just to maybe try and win, or, maybe break that curse of them both making top 8. That'd be really cool. But back to the match, we've got Mr. Clean and Storm. Mr. Clean, we personally haven't seen play for quite a while. I know he still plays Kung Lao, and obviously that's a matchup that Storm's very familiar with, but has also struggled with in the ESL top 16. So matchup-wise, this could go either way. But in terms of needing these points, because Mr. Clean, this is his first top 8, so I'm excited to see him play, but he isn't making the finals based on this. But Storm, on the other hand, is very much in that bracket for being able to make it. So I think, again, if there's a week we need to see these players bring it and play their 1000% best, it is now, and they will know that. So for that reason, my prediction does go to Storm, because I think he's going to know
Storm's got too much Kung Lao matchup experience to fall short early. I just have confidence in Storm that he'll take it. Mr. Clean, though, he kind of really gatekept K-Top to the nth degree in keeping him back this week. But personally, I just think Storm's going to win this one. I know we always seem to go for the safe bets, but the reality is Storm has to bring it, and he knows it, and he's got Kung Lao experience. So I just think it's going to make sense. Storm's going to move on. That's going to be my assumption for this.
I would agree.
So that's going to be EU. This is going to be a really interesting week, and I can't wait to see the bracket tomorrow. But let's move on to North America. This is going to be interesting because the bracket's much bigger. I'm going to quickly give it a rotation down
Now,
here.
to start things off for top 8, I'm not really sure what the bracket's doing. The first game will be Dab versus Senor Abraham, but Dab's already been moved on to the semi-finals, so I don't know if that means that Senor Abraham can't play or if that's just a misclick. So for the purpose of the video, we'll go on the assumption that they haven't played yet.
I think Dab will take this based on the Tanya Takeda matchup, personally. It's just her pressure is really good against characters that don't have the best armor in the world. And let's be serious, outside of Ronin, which we do know that Abraham can play a bit of Ronin, it's not the greatest thing. So I think Tanya can potentially give Takeda trouble when she gets in. There's also going to be an online element to it as well, I feel, where Dab is just extremely comfortable. But Abraham is very much an online player as well. So I don't know. I think Dab's going to take this one because of the Tanya Takeda matchup, personally. But Abraham has beat good players before. Yeah, but he could totally take it. But personally, I reckon Dab is going to take this one.
I think so too.
We'll quickly check the path. Dab had to get through. Basically, these guys here, very, very little big tournament players are in these brackets because basically most of them went to NEC, right? It was in America, so a lot of these guys would have just got through assorted players that have been entering but aren't necessarily the top players.
That's another thing, what we said for EU applies to NA too. You've got no Sonic Fox, no Perfect Legend. I would say no Wound Cowboy, but Wound Cowboy did end this week, but unfortunately fell a little bit short this week, which was a big surprise. But Cowboy's got more than enough points. He's still a deadlock.
So, the next game is going to be Killstreak and Ditty Foster. Killstreak had to beat, very notably here, Milky's situation. Milky almost got a top 8, but did fall short to Killstreak there, who we know plays Sub-Zero. But he also plays Cryomancer. So, I would love, personally, to see some Cryomancer in action. That'd be really exciting. Ditty Foster, I actually don't really know anything about this guy.
Showtime, though. Beat Showtime.
He did take out Showtime, he keeps getting close, but not quite top 8. Very unfortunate, but he's been doing well every week. But to be honest, Killstreak and Ditty Foster, it's hard to call because I've actually never seen Foster play before. So I really don't know much about this guy. I've heard bits and bobs from certain players, but nothing concrete. So Killstreak needs this more than Foster does. So we could say that Killstreak, at the least, needs to win this more. Yeah, absolutely.
But that is about as much as we can say, because you guys know by now we don't like assuming based on players we haven't seen before. I mean, we can go by who they've beaten. I mean, like here, for example, Scar, your champion, your second place from last week, made up with a really good hat-trick Lau.
Hat-trick Lau!
Yeah,
he beat Sonic Fox's hat-trick.
It was wicked, right? It was really exciting, really hyped up, but he's against someone called Hurtful Badger 87, another player I've not heard of, but we can look at his path. He had to beat Beyond Toxin.
He had to beat Legacy, who beat Blind Lucky.
Sergeant Reed as well.
So, who knows? I reckon Scar has been consistent in ESL so far. And, once again, he could very much benefit from these points. I mean, he's in a good situation anyway, but if he wins and gets another Grand Finals, that's it. It's not even about being one of the players, but when there's 8 North Americans, you want to be seeded too. You want to be one of those seeded North Americans to get an even better chance.
175 points. If he wins this week, that's 75 for second last week and 100 now. And that's 2 weeks, 175.
That's a lot of seeding.
That's a lot of points to really push you up.
So I reckon Scar's going to be there. Nub Cakes and Corey the Dragon. Corey the Dragon can play, I believe it's Sub-Zero and Quan Chi.
I think it's mainly Quan we see him bring out in ESL.
Yeah, it's mainly Quan.
This is most likely going to be Bone Shaper versus Quan.
Who does Nub Cakes play these days?
Bone Shaper.
Bone Shaper Shinnok.
Yeah, he's played Bone Shaper Shinnok for the entirety of Season 2.
Shinnok and Quan.
Yeah, he's made a couple of top 8s, so he's doing well for points, but again, he very seldom gets past the top 8 itself. He does a good job to get there, but doesn't really excel beyond that point. It's almost like NA's Costas and K-Top, really. But Corey the Dragon does have a very strong, and I am going to say quite obnoxious Quan Chi, because he knows that's exactly how to play the character.
He knows what he has to do to win online.
Exactly.
It's good.
That's good. He understands and he puts it to good use. So Summoner versus Bone Shaper, that's not a terrible matchup, really, but at the same time, post-patch, it's definitely a lot harder for Shinnok than it used to be. Just for the fact that
Quan got buffed.
Well, exactly, Quan got buffed.
Shinnok got buffed and Quan got nerfed. So Shinnok got nerfed and Quan got buffed.
You used to be able to scoop the bat, scoop the runes. If you tried to beat a bone rune from full screen, you could scoop it. You can't anymore if you're maximum distance because it doesn't reach. And I mean, you've got a projectile for the trade as such, but Bone Shaper zoning isn't going to touch Quan's, and because of the distance of Quan's normals and his jump-ins, the unblockable is incredibly risky against him. Because one mistake against Summoner from full screen, and he's going to hit you with a trance. Meterbun trance is something we see used a lot by Summoner players now, because they know all they need is that trance to start the systems going. And it's going to be tough for him. If Corey's playing perfectly well, it is going to be quite difficult for Nub Cakes. But at the end of the day, it's still Bone Shaper, and Bone Shaper's still good. It's just not quite as dirty, I suppose.
Okay, so I believe that is actually going to be North America and EU here. EU has a...
Only if you make a prediction on the last game, which you didn't do.
Oh, I believe we just talked about the matchup. My bad. To be honest, I reckon Corey could take it purely based on the matchup itself. I think someone that does really well versus Shinnok. It's pretty much for the reasons that you just said. That's the reason I didn't give one, sorry, because I thought you just got over the matchup, so it's pretty much self-explanatory in that regard. But Summoner versus Bone Shaper, I favour Summoner nowadays. I mean, the reality is Bone Shaper got nerfed. Quan has less to worry about. Summoner got buffed. Neutral jump punch is a really good answer for Shinnok in other variations, obviously not necessarily Bone Shaper.
Even Bone Shaper, it's not that bad.
I favour Summoner in the matchup. Corey knows, well, they've both played these characters for a while, so the matchup will be significant. Nub Cakes can win, don't get me wrong. Nub Cakes has what it takes. He's one of the best Shinnoks in America at the moment.
Definitely one of the most consistent with that.
Yeah, so it could go either way. But based on the matchup alone, I really favour Summoner here. So I reckon Corey could
I would agree. I mean, I would like to see Nub Cakes win, but fundamentally, I do think it's going to be a lot harder for Nub Cakes than it's going to be for Corey.
Okay, so that's going to be our predictions, guys. Make sure you tune in tomorrow. Thank you very much for watching. We're back now for a couple of days at least before we go back to the UK again.
Yeah, so expect to see my Zarak video over the next couple of days, guys. It's going to be a little bit difficult for us over the next few days because we have the broadcast tomorrow, but our flight, because obviously there's a break in between week 7 and 8 for the Christmas and New Year break. So we're going back to the UK first thing Thursday morning, which means we're going to be working Wednesday night for the broadcast. Probably just staying up and then flying back first thing Thursday. So expect to see my Zarak video over the weekend. This is basically our last full day, really, in Poland before we get back to the UK. So Season 2 has really shot by for us.
Very, very quick. Make sure you like, comment and sub, guys. Let us know how you think this week's going to go. Make sure you tune in. Show us all the support that you like to give us. And that's that. Thanks for watching. We'll catch you later.